Survivor specialist Phil and Alexa are back. And anybody who's watching, look at that, huh? Look at that.
All this merch.
Look at that. That's a phone case. Vaughn forgot his. Vaughn's baby is wearing it, right? That's what it is.
He's got the onesie.
Yes, exactly. Which is our top selling product. So I'm pretty sure Vaughn actually bought 9 of them. But anyway, 1 for every day of the week. And, 2, you got to get 1 for your Sunday's best too. So, but anyway, we are back with our Winners at War fantasy draft, finally doing some more Winners at War pregame coverage or whatever, preseason coverage. Some people have been like, when's the preseason coverage start? It's like we did 20
started
interviews.
in July.
we actually did 21 interviews. So anybody who's new and unfamiliar with Vaughn comes on every season. And actually, Vaughn had done the Tony Vlachos podcast with us 2 days before we went live with all of those podcasts. And on that podcast, Vaughn pretended to be David Sampson's son. And as he was doing that, the podcast ended and we were like, that was really funny. And Vaughn goes, "What? Have you reached out to David? Just try." And so we reached out to David, and literally in less than 12 hours, we had that entire thing scheduled, ready to go. And it was Vaughn's idea. So unfortunately, the Vaughn Tony Vlachos podcast never made it to our YouTube channel.
Lost to history.
No, if you're a patron, you got it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Have you contacted your father recently?
We had spoke. I congratulated him on a magnificent appearance, and he is luck on today's draft.
I love that, and I love his he's doing his top 100 movies right now. He's just tweeting them out. I don't know what sparked that, but he's just doing it, and it's quite interesting to see what David Sampson's top 100 movies are. So I'm a big fan of that. So good on David. Good on your father.
I don't even think I've watched 100 movies. So
that's sad, intern.
That's a you problem.
That is a you problem.
I want you to know, intern, that I know you went to Nora and Wendell's hot yoga. And Nora actually voice messaged me. She didn't call me.
Oh, yeah, she does that.
She just voice messages, and she voice messaged me and said, "It's time to stop calling you intern. It's demeaning, and your name is Robert." So I told her, "Yeah, I'll call him Robert, but you just said you haven't watched 100 movies, so you might still be intern."
Well, she told me after that, she was like, "I'm gonna voice message Phil and tell him to stop calling you intern, and that you deserve the respect on your name for him to call you Robert."
How was hot yoga? Tell us about it.
It was great. It's better than other hot yoga I've done. Instead of the room being like 105, it was like 85, which
it was like warm yoga.
A gigantic difference.
Yeah, huge difference. And then hung out with Nora and Wendell and some other Survivor fans from the community in the area. So pretty good.
There you go. So that was interns. That's what he's been doing all off season. He's just been prepping for that hot yoga. He's been wailing on his abs to get ready for that.
Yeah, you got a lot of love on Reddit for your abs.
I know, it was sick.
Sentence that I never thought I would say out loud.
Thanks Reddit.
With the abs and the yoga and everything. This is news to me, but
right.
Alexa, you're gonna have to find that Reddit link and put it in the chat so that people can click on it.
Give me a sec.
Especially Vaughn.
I'd love to just pull it up now.
All right,
yeah, exactly.
You guys keep talking.
All right, so I'm going to go through these rules here. So the last time Edge of Extinction was on Survivor, Vaughn Stewart wiped the floor with all of us in terms of who he had at the end of the game. He had Rick Devens, he had Chris, he had Gavin. The only problem is Vaughn also decided that he did not want people to get any type of points for being at Edge of Extinction. So Vaughn got destroyed in scoring. So despite the fact that he had 3 of the final 4, he had like nothing in terms of pointage because all his players got voted out so early. Vaughn, do you think we're going to make any changes to that? I mean, I'm going to go through it here in a second, but you have a change of heart because of how poorly it went for you last time?
I do. I mean, I think that, if the scoring system is not good enough to reflect someone's brilliance, the scoring system must be tweaked. This is just sort of like a moral obligation. But yeah, I mean, I think that maybe the obvious thing is give more points if people come back, right? My initial point was that people shouldn't be rewarded for being voted out of the game and then like hanging out on another island, which I think, makes some sense. But I think maybe the flaw was, number one, Chris Underwood was too good for the scoring system to even appreciate. Mm-hmm. And secondly, I was too good for the scoring system to appreciate. Maybe, up the number of points you get if you return to the game. Mm-hmm. Or I think that's the solution. Or lower the number of points you get for just being on the normal island in the game.
Okay.
Because the discrepancy between being in the game and like surviving and then getting no points for being on Edge, that was like why I did so badly in the scoring system.
Maybe we just do 0.5 points per day then.
Okay.
Like for being in the game instead of 1 point, because I can keep track of that. Instead of 1 point, it's 0.5, so that you're not losing a point every day that somebody's still in the game, which does start to add up. Because I mean, Chris Underwood was voted out on day 8, comes back on day 36. You missed out on 28 points there.
Right.
Where now you'd miss out on 14, so you'd still have a chance. So here's what we got right now. We have correct idle play is 3 points. It's always been that way. Winner is 10, always been that way. Individual immunity 2. We still have MVP, which is 3. We have if you quit the game, and now because this is winners, if you quit the game, and this does not count after you're voted out. If you just quit the game, it's -10. I up that a lot because if any of the winners legitimately just quit before Edge of Extinction, or like I'm talking like they have to like quit the way, Jenna Maraska obviously quit. Sue Hawk obviously quit. They had their reasons for quitting. But if that happens on this season, it's -10 no matter what the reason is. I think that's fair. It's all winners. They all know what they signed up for. They're all out there. I have if you quit before Edge of Extinction, but after you're voted out. So like, Keith, what he almost did, it's -5 because nobody did that last time. So I don't really see that happening this time. And then I think if you quit Edge of Extinction, I have just -3. How does that sound to everybody?
That sounds good.
Down.
Fun. Okay. And then what did we want to make win back into the game?
Ugh.
We don't know what it was previously.
I have no idea.
I think it needs to be like slightly higher than winning individual immunity, right?
So do like maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, or 5. I mean, it's more significant, obviously, than winning individual immunity. I'm not sure it's half as significant as winning the game, though, if the game is 10.
So let's do 4. So it's double winning individual immunity.
Yeah.
And it's only going to happen twice.
Right. Exactly. All right. And then we have half a point for each day in the game. Now, the way we're going to do this, who's excited? We're bringing back the Survivor auction for this. That's how we're going to do it. We are still going to have to determine if we're going to snake. Are we going to snake the nominations? We're going to have to worry about that.
I'm down to snake the nominations.
Okay, so Alexa's already said that. She doesn't even know where she ranks yet, but I guess she's down to snake the nominations. I'm also down to snake the nominations. The snaking the nominations, getting to nominate back to back can be very big. But we're going to auction this, and the way it's going to go, I was just explaining this beforehand, so hopefully I do it as well the third time. But the way it's going to go is we're all going to start with $500, just like the Survivor auction. Super exciting, right? Like everybody gets 500. None of us are buying what was it, shocks for our Jeep or whatever Tarzan decided to keep his money for. So we're going to be doing that anyway. So $500. It's going to start off. We're going to randomly name pick for the order of the draft, or the order of the nomination. So let's say Alexa goes first, Robert second, Vaughn's third, I'm fourth. If that's the case, Alexa would nominate any player she wants. It doesn't matter who it is. She can nominate Amber, Boston Rob, whoever. Alexa says, I'm going to nominate Amber, and I'm going to bid 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. It doesn't matter. It's just got to be an increment of 10. She can bid however much she wants. So let's say Alexa does 10. It would then go to Robert. Robert says 20. It gets to Vaughn, and Vaughn says, I don't want to bid. Once Vaughn drops out of bidding, he can never bid on this player again. So if Alexa does 10, Robert does 20, if Vaughn drops out, I do 30, Alexa does 40, Robert does 50. Vaughn does not get to bid again. He's dropped out. You can also nominate a player and then not bid on them. So if Alexa were to say, I'm going to nominate Amber, but I don't want her, Alexa would then not have a chance to get Amber unless all of us also did not bid on Amber. So if Alexa said, I'm not bidding, and Robert said, I don't want Amber either, and Vaughn said, I don't want Amber, and I said, I don't want Amber, Alexa would get Amber for free. So I figure we all know the winners. Doing just a regular snake draft would make it too. Everybody knows I'm going to take Michele or whoever, and Alexa's going to go for Wendell, and Robert's going to go for whatever Robert likes. Now I don't even know. Now that he's got abs, he's probably a changed man. But now that since we all know who everybody likes, let's actually see what Michele is worth to me here. And she might be the hidden media idol where I'm just like 500, Jeff, and scream it as fast as I can, and just.
All right, I'm glad I'm not the only person who has that as a game plan.
Yes.
I hope you guys got all that because there will be an exam afterwards.
There will.
I'm confused and I'm playing this game.
Well, that's what's great about this is at least it's in my head somewhat. And I've done fantasy football drafts like this, but there's some where when you have 10 people doing this, it is not easy to keep track of. So at least we only have 4. So I have all 4 of our names. I will change intern to Robert.
Oh, thank you.
Wow.
Per the wish.
Wow, big move.
What a guy. Big moves.
It's
changer.
because of Nora. I really do respect Nora that much that I would change her name. So I just clicked the button, and number 1, I should probably share this with all of you, but it actually was Robert. Let me see if I can screen.
Oh, I trust you because you wouldn't be nice to him. So
I know. So Robert's going to nominate first.
You would have needed to share it if it was you. Then I wouldn't have trusted you.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's what I get for typing it. So pretty much whoever's in the 3rd spot has won twice. Next is Alexa.
Whoop, whoop.
And then Vaughn, this is to determine who's going to get the snake back to back. God, this site I'm on is so sketchy. It is slowing down my computer so bad. Holy crap. Vaughn, you're 3rd, so I'm last.
All right, people. We know what we need to do here.
So that's the way of that's the way of the snake, right? So if I were to nominate somebody,
Robert, me.
it would, and then you would draft next. But then, like, is that the same order? And once it gets back to Phil, what's the order of like?
No. So it would go. So anytime that we were to do something, Robert, if you nominate, you go first. Alexa goes next. Vaughn is 3rd. I am.
Okay,
4th.
but what if you nominate Phil? Who goes next?
If I nominate, you go 2nd. Alexa's 3rd.
Okay.
Vaughn is 4th, and then I'm 5th. So it just keeps it's like just a rotation. So, but obviously, like if it goes Robert, Alexa, Vaughn, Phil, I don't bid twice in a row. It would just go back to Robert at the top.
It's just nomination.
We all ready?
Are we
I'm
ready?
ready.
I only
11
vaguely
minutes
have
in.
it down, so
What'd you say, Vaughn?
I only vaguely have it. So I'm just going to sort of fake it till I make it here.
Same.
There you go.
All right,
Hey,
Robert.
you win every time. We got to do something to mess it up.
Yep.
All right, intern.
All right.
Who you bidding? Putting up.
For $100, Michele Fitzgerald. Go.
I'll take her
Wow,
for
he's-
150.
Vaughn, that's you.
To me, yeah, I'm out.
Okay, good. I will do 160.
170.
I'll take her for 200.
210.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I thought I was going to have to spend like $400 on Michele.
Teamwork, everybody.
I didn't want to push it any further, but
I didn't want
There
one
you
of us
go.
to get stuck with her for $500. Not that I don't want her, but that
I'm not going to lie to you guys.
You were
250 is what she was worth to me. So if anybody would have said 250, I was done and you would have been screwed.
yeah.
would you take it for 210?
I just did.
Yeah, 210.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I still have $290 left. So I'm going to keep track of that too. Don't worry,
The
everybody.
comment
I got
section
it.
is absolutely loving this.
Yeah, so I was really hoping that you guys wouldn't nominate Michele because you were all newbies at it, but I was only going to go to 250, so I'm very excited about this. Got it for 210. All right, so my team is off to a great start. All of you,
I'm loving it.
40 whole dollars there, Phil. Congrats.
I did. No, I saved like 290 whole dollars there.
yeah.
All right, let's go, Alexa. Nominate somebody.
All right. I would like to nominate Ethan Zahn.
Ooh, how much?
I'm going to put 0 on him.
Oh, so that means you can't bid on him then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have to start with a number, otherwise you can't bid.
Put 20.
To me again?
Yep.
50.
I will do 60.
Phil's spending over 40% of his budget on the show. Classic.
Phil, you went 60?
Yep, so it's to intern.
Robert, your turn.
Let's do 80.
Alexa?
I'll take 90.
Vaughn.
100.
All right, I'm out.
Let's do 130.
I'm out.
140.
This is hard. Why do I don't like making
This is fun.
decisions?
I'm like-
I just like making a joke for Phil. Let's do 150.
160.
Vaughn wants him.
170.
I'm out.
Okay, there we go.
All right, I want to hear this. Vaughn, what was your reasoning for pushing intern so hard on that? What do you like so much about Ethan right now?
Well, first I could tell that intern liked him, so I wanted to
Yeah.
push a little bit more.
Okay.
Right.
So I was trying to read intern. This is a little bit of gamesmanship here. I was trying to read intern. It seemed like he wanted him, so I wanted to push him up. But I do. I like Ethan. I think that there's a legitimate question about how well he'll be able to adapt playing sort of a totally different game. And so his flaws are, obvious, which he could come out as a completely sort of old school player. But I think, his likability factor is off the charts. He's not going to be viewed as a threat. People are going to think that he's going to play an old school game. And if he's at the end, he's going to win. He's likable enough to pull it off.
Yeah. No, I really like Ethan, but I spending 210 on Michele. But see, this is where I'm saying that Michele thing's not that bad, because intern, do you really value Ethan only $40 less than I value Michele?
So here's what I've done. Okay, I've created this matrix of like all the winners and then like different qualities about them of why I think that they would be like do well. Right. So if they've been voted out, I gave them extra points because, there's like, you have a sense of, oh, I've been voted out before. I know what this is like. Ethan has been voted out. So that's another point for him. Low threat level is something I consider. Ethan has a much lower threat level than, Rob or Sandra. And then the third point I gave him was that it seems like he wants, when I was like watching all the preseason interview stuff, there seemed to be like two groups of people. There were people that wanted to be a part of the all-winner season, and then there were the people that wanted to win the all-winner season. Mm-hmm. And I believe that Ethan was one of those people that wanted to be there to win and not just to be a part of like the whole Super Bowl thing. And so out of all those, that actually ranks him pretty high in this like weird ranking system that I have. So I figured that, spending a lot of money on someone that you think is going to do well based off of this dumb metric that you've made, I think it was worth it for 170.
I like that. And I also like that you name dropped the Super Bowl here, because we are recording this on Super Bowl Sunday, which is normally a very big day for Alexa. And today it is not a very big day for Alexa. So I just wanted to say that.
It's really kind of nice to not care. Like, I didn't have Super Bowl plans until yesterday. I love not caring about this. But also, I love Jimmy G, so go 49ers.
Yeah, well, you would like Jimmy J. He's so pretty,
so handsome.
But yes, I just like that. Right? But I would love to see this matrix after it's all said and done.
Yeah,
I don't want to see it now because that would be spoiling.
Yeah, no, I'll show you later.
Yeah,
I will say that. I had an extra category called "Would piss off Phil if I first picked," and Michele had 5 points in that category, so she was right at the top.
That's very true. You should have. I guess it was a scale of 1 to 5, because if it was any more, you would have said 10. So
yeah,
it's a bold move by intern showing his whole algorithm here right at the jump.
And Vaughn playing dumb.
I have not been quite as quantitative in my draft prep, but I have some metrics, but I'm not sure I want to show all my cards. But I respect it. It's a.
Do you think I have shown all my cards?
Move here off the jump.
I think you showed all our cards.
Have I shown all my cards?
We're collectively gonna have Phil buy Adam for $290. Like that's not changing, right? Okay, good.
Well, I always tell Adam, and I'm also, Alexa, I'm going to put this Reddit thing in here because, like, if we're talking about Robert showing all his cards, let's talk about Robert showing all his abs, too. So we'll throw that in there.
Hey-o.
But so now, go ahead, Vaughn. Now you can go get really distracted and just go, like, be like, how in the world is intern, like, so thin? My God. But anyway, I've always told Adam I would pick him to win unless he's in a season with Michele. So how much would I really bid on Adam? I love Adam. But, like, do I need to, like, prove my loyalty to Adam any further than I've already proven it? I don't think so. So, I don't know. I'm just saying. So, Vaughn, you are up with nominations. Ethan and Michele are off the board. Who you got?
I'm going to do Jeremy for 30.
Jeremy for 30. All right. I will do 50 on that. That brings it to Robert.
I'll go for 60.
I'll take him for 70.
I'll do 80.
Okay. I'll do 90.
I'm out.
Take 100.
I'm out.
Dope.
So, Alexa, you just got Jeremy for 100. Now, at the beginning of this season, if I would have told you were going to get Jeremy for 100, I would have said that's crazy. What has changed for everybody? I was never really as high on Jeremy as a lot of people, but are we all feeling that in this pregame press, he's just like nobody's best friend here?
I mean, I'll take it quickly because I did take him. Everyone seems shockingly, no one's really going for him because I think he's in that really safe spot of not being Parvati or Boston Rob. And from what I'm seeing in all the pregame press, everyone kind of wants to work with the big threats. And I think this threat alliance that was supposed to happen in Game Changers is kind of has to happen now. And he's not like Sarah. I mean, have you seen how many people are gunning for Sarah? Shockingly, people are forgetting about him again. And it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
let's hear it.
I actually think that he was priced basically perfectly, which is like kind of dollars is like basically an average player if we have 5 players and $500. And I think he's someone who he's not going to be someone's first target out of the gate. I think he's pretty safe bet to make it at least close to, if not at the merge. But at that point, I feel like his threat level will be pretty high once kind of the more obvious traditional threats are out of the game. Where I just don't really think you can keep someone in with his challenge prowess and his charm around. So I don't really see him in the end game. So I mostly just nominated him because I was hoping one of the 3 of you would spin big thinking that he was going to be a potential winner. I mean, I think it's telling that actually a lot of fans, and I guess not us, us notwithstanding, I've seen a lot of fans are picking him. And I think that is a bad sign for him because the players are probably thinking the same as the fans, which is that he seems like a potential winner. I disagree with that. And so I was hoping that one of y'all would agree and waste a bunch of money, but it didn't really work out that way.
Yeah, and my thing with Jeremy is I agree with everything you just said. That's the problem with him is when you're doing a fantasy game, like if we were just doing pick a winner, Jeremy would probably be maybe like my 8th or 9th, 10th person on this list. But when it's a fantasy game like this, I feel like as Vaughn always goes with his floor ceiling, I feel like despite the fact that he was able to overcome being a really big physical threat and like a really likable in the social game in second chances, he's not playing with the same caliber of player in second chances. And all these winners know how Jeremy won in second chances. They're never going to let him get his footing again. So really $100 is what you're supposed to pay per player. That is the average. And I do think that Jeremy, in terms of how many points he's going to get you in a fantasy game, he's going to get you a very average amount of points. I don't see him being somebody who gets you like 100 points at the end of all this. He's probably going to cap out around like 30, 40 points, which is good. Well, now that we have half a day, it's probably closer to like half a point per day. It's probably closer to like 20 is what he'd max out at. But still, like, I don't see him being the guy who really carries your fantasy team. So I wasn't going to go much higher on him. I am up with nomination time, and I am going to go with Denise for 20.
I will go up to 50.
60.
70.
80.
90.
100.
I'm out.
I'll do 110.
Big decision here.
This is a big decision. Because going above 100 is kind of rough 2 times in a row.
Yeah, now that we know that 100, I mean, we've always known that 100's the bar, but now that we finally had the one sell for 100, that kind of changes
it. I'm out.
I'll do 110, Phil.
I did 110, so you'd be 120.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
All right, 120.
Okay, I'm out. So Alexa gets
Denise for I like that. I thought you were going to push her.
I was not going to push her. I know you like Denise, but I didn't want to get stuck with Denise.
Yeah,
there
was some serious mind games between the two of us. I knew we were about to do that.
Yeah, that was very much what Vaughn said earlier. That was gamesmanship. I was like, I know Alexa wants Denise, and really for
I
me,
thought you guys were going to jack her up for me.
Well, I feel like between us, Alexa, because we know each other so well, because we did so many of these podcasts in the off season, I need to get the players you really like out of the way so that I can bid on some of the players we both like.
Yeah.
So I was like, dang. And then when Robert dropped out, I got that really bad gut feeling, which I would have been fine getting Denise, but I didn't want to be spending $320 in the first 4 players nominated. Yeah. Alexa, what do you love so much about Denise?
Well, I'm loving that I've only spent $220 for 2 people, and Phil has spent $210 for 1 person.
I got Michele.
That's what, yeah. So I'm pretty happy that I figured no one else is going to be crazy about Denise, but I think she's going to do very, very well. I think she's still going to hide, despite the fact that she's probably the most jacked person out on that island. She apparently started doing CrossFit like right after she won and hasn't stopped.
Oh my God.
I think, yeah, she looks like a tank. And I don't know. I don't think that this is so. I've talked about this ad nauseum of, there's all these big threats. Like everyone's going to go for Parvati, but Parvati wants to work with Denise. Like people want her because Denise is seen as loyal. And I don't think Denise is someone where people are going to look at her and say, okay, now she wants to totally change it up. I don't think Denise wants to change her game much, other than the fact that it would be nice if she won some immunity challenges.
Yeah. No, and Denise, like, I bet she doesn't even have like 1% of body fat on her. Like, going out there, I think she is the oldest woman out there. I mean,
I think so too.
There's like, that's not going to hold her back in any way, I don't think. So I do think that I think she has a very good chance of winning this game. Go ahead, Alexa. Denise 100% using PT.
That is the funniest thing.
I wonder if they're going to start testing for that on Survivor. Like,
they should. Looking at Denise, they should start testing.
Would James Clement have been allowed to participate in Survivor 3 times had they tested? But anyway, Vaughn, you have not picked anybody yet. What was your take on Denise here? Because you didn't get out too early, but you did get out first.
Yeah, no, I like Denise. I actually think that, I'll be boring again. I think that she was priced about right too. I think that she is a slightly above average player in the draft. I think that she is someone who is very smart. She's great socially. She played a strong game, her first and only time out. She's someone that has the perfect professional background as a therapist for Survivor. I think that's probably like the best job and experience you can possibly have. I think her downside, she's outside my sort of top tier of people, simply because I don't think she has a whole lot of win equity. I think that she's unlikely to play the flashy kind of game that will be rewarded in the end, but she's someone who will be around a while. So she's a great kind of like, roughly $100 pick to kind of fill out your roster. She's not going to be maybe your home run hitter, but she's definitely like kind of good depth for Alexa. So it's a good pick. I just didn't want to be stuck in a situation where I had to spend significantly over $100 on her.
So right now, here's where we are at. Alexa has 280 left. I have 290 left. Robert has 330 left. And Vaughn, you have 500 left. And we are going into round 2. Vaughn has not made a pick yet, which I knew was going to be. I feel like I've seen this guy before.
I feel like Vaughn's played this 100 times and is about to just completely.
Yeah, he's claiming he doesn't know what's going on. Vaughn while Intern has a spreadsheet, Vaughn and his wife have been just sitting there like, all right, $20 on this. Now, what would you do in this situation? He's got flashcards. He's got everything. I love this.
You'll appreciate the shout out.
Yeah, I'm nominating again because we are sneaking this. But now I do see what Robert's point was. Now that I'm nominating, Vaughn, you don't go second, right? We're still going to just do the snake in the same way where like Robert goes second.
I think that's right. Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think that just makes it less confusing.
Yeah.
In any way.
I'm already confused. So let's not.
So let's do that. I'm going to throw up. I'm going to throw up Sophie Clark for 10. Which goes to Robert.
20.
I'm out.
50.
I will drop.
Ooh.
Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, geez. I thought Phil was gonna. I'll go 60.
Phil, we know what we like too much.
Mm-hmm.
You at 60.
Yeah.
I'll do 70.
All right, I'm out.
All right, so Vaughn gets his first pick. Gets Sophie
Great
below.
steal.
This is our first purchase under I like how I just called it a purchase, but this is our first this is our first
I don't
win.
Like
This is our first win here under the average of 100. Vaughn gets Sophie for 70. Vaughn, are you like it? Because clearly none of us are high on Sophie. If we're going below average here, what's your take?
I would have paid a little bit more. I think I value her basically around the same area as the last two people taken. I really like her as a player overall. I mean, I think she's someone who's really introspective. If you read her preseason interviews, she's extremely aware of her game and her faults. She's also very aware of everyone else. I think she has probably one of the best strategic minds in the cast. She's obviously not the warmest person, but I think she realizes that and will kind of make moves to sort of compensate for that. I don't think that she's going to be, targeted initially. I think she's an underrated athlete, and people will probably forget about her. And I think that, sometimes we as a kind of a fan community collectively forget that she won as a 22-year-old. And I think she has some hidden upside because she has unquestionably matured since then. Other players that are on this season won when they were already kind of a fully formed person in their 30s or even 40s. But she's someone who won and played a pretty good game and a pretty mature game as someone just out of college. And so I actually think that, one of the things I'm really looking at, not to show my hand too much, is these people that only have one season of gameplay. to me, that is such a small sample size, especially when they've won that season and they've gotten a skewed edit or as a result. I think that we probably all as a fan community, including all four of us even on this podcast, overrate our ability to really gauge how good or bad a player is based on one season that they won. It's just inherently too small of a sample. So I actually kind of am really looking for these one season players as prime opportunities to either kind of fade them because I think they may be overrated based on one season sample, or really buy them up. Because in Sophie's scenario, for Sophie's case, there are reasons that people can be skeptical of the game she played, and she won narrowly, and it was kind of a weird season. But I think she's got some hidden upside, especially as someone who hasn't played in nearly a decade and is now a 30-year-old, sort of full-on adult. I'll make one more point about her, which is I was really impressed that in a season that was basically like a Christian revival, she was a secular person who got along with kind of this like overwhelmingly religious bent of the season and like sat around in prayer circles with them and kind of faked it, but managed to get along well enough to take the title. So I really like Sophie, and at this price, I love Sophie.
Yeah, and I think we've said this a lot, but she's the only really player to win against winners, like huge. She's dealt with these huge personalities like Coach and Ozzy, and she knew how to navigate those. She had John Cochran, who ends up being a huge fan favorite, another winner. She had Albert, who we had on the podcast. Great interview. If you haven't listened to the Albert interview, listen to that one. He is so insightful about Survivor, but he gives some great takes on Sophie and how he was perceiving her on the season. So I do like her for that. I love these underrated, kind of under-edited female characters, but for some reason, I just think Sophie, even though she's older and maybe a little bit more mature, I just don't know if everybody knows her as well as they know everybody else. But what the hell do I know?
I'll also say that I met Sophie in New York at the last Live Know-It-Alls, and she showed a lot of interest in my job, which number one is like a clear way just for my heart, just feed my ego. But she actually did sort of, I think, one-on-one, my own personal experience showed like a little bit more kind of like, interpersonal chops than I was expecting. So I am actually basing my pick a little bit off my own personal experience.
I think it was, I don't know if Gordon Holmes tweeted it or someone tweeted it at Gordon Holmes, but I've been reading all of his Xfinity pregame interviews, and someone said like, you have such a good rapport with them. Like it feels like you're talking to your friends. And he's like, yeah, they're winners. Like they are naturally very attractive to talk to and gregarious. And so it's going to be just really cool to see that. And I know for Sophie, like to your point, you mentioned that it doesn't seem like there's a warmness, but there very clearly is. And a lot of people can't fake anything ever, let alone for 39 days after not eating, not sleeping. And she faked like being religious in a very religious group, which is
right.
I do not know if I could do that. So
I know I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
I could talk about.
I'm from Alabama, so I've tried and failed.
Yeah, exactly. I would fail. That's what it comes down to.
I think I think me personally, I value Sophie more than this spreadsheet I've made. Like is actually leading me to believe. But I think part of me just wanted to go with the like. If I had start doubting my system, then I think everything falls apart. And I wanted to keep some money later for maybe a different person to draft.
I love that. Well, so now everybody's made a purchase. I put up the ticker on the bottom here that shows how much we have left. That came from somebody said Phil really messed up. He should have up like here you go. Far as D, Phil didn't plan this well. Should have a bar on screen with money and team. Update it live. Well, I can't do the team. It would just take up way too much space, and then we wouldn't see Vaughn or Intern or Alexa, and I would just keep moving up until it was just like the microphone. But you're welcome, Forrest D, for taking your suggestion. Oh no, now it went away.
Now it's gone.
And now it's back.
There we go.
All right, Vaughn, your next nomination, the sixth person here.
Yep. I'm gonna go with Natalie Anderson for 10.
For 10, you say. I will do 20.
I will do 40.
50.
I'm out.
60.
70.
I'm good.
Yes, I'm also going to give that to Intern for 70.
Oh, let's go. I like
Another
that.
70 purchase.
I'll take that.
So what do you love so much about Natalie?
I love Natalie, but I'm nervous for her.
I am also a little nervous about Natalie. I think that like her strength, is very obvious. Like if you follow like her on social media, all she does is just like lift weights. She can compete in
Just like you,
challenges.
Robert.
Well, not as much as Natalie, that's for sure. I think, yeah, she has been shown to be like, when she like, mouths off John Rocker, like a little bit harsh, but I think she'll be enough of an asset and isn't obvious enough of a threat at the beginning that she can, at least make it through the early part of the game. And I also think that she's determined enough that if she were to get to Edge of Extinction, she could win her way back. So that's overall what I have for her.
I think she could definitely come back from Edge.
Yeah, she's great physically. I worry for her that, and we even talked to Missy about this when we had Missy on. I just worry that she's going to be too aggressive at the beginning. And on a season where it seems like a lot of people are going to be aggressive, like, don't get me wrong, but it just feels like she might be too much for some people. And the first time we saw her win, she was on a dominant tribe, one of the best tribes in Survivor history. That Hunapu tribe was unbelievable. How would she do if her tribe loses early? How is she going to be like kind of being behind the 8 ball? And yeah, we watched her lose her sister right away and she recovered well from that, but she was able to really recover well from that because her tribe kept on winning. So I want to see how she would be if she loses when there's a lot of twists. Is she going to be too aggressive with all these advantages and everything? Because I think she's just such a crazy competitive person. I would have loved to have gotten her and Tony and Michele and just had my all New Jersey, winners team. That would have been great. But at the end of the day, I was not willing to go to $100 with Natalie Anderson.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to go any higher than 70. So
okay, so I'm glad I dropped when I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I nominated her because I'm also sort of low on her. I really like her, and I actually really like San Juan del Sur, and I like that brilliant last run she had. But back to my
great season.
With the only one sample size season, I feel like we just don't have a really reliable sense of how good she is. I mean, her sprint to the finish was remarkable. It was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister, she's obviously very similar to her. They share the same genetic profile, and she was the first boot. And then also like they were I've heard they were pretty annoying players in the Amazing Race. So I think it's obvious like red flags there where it's like, did she look better than she is? She's really physically imposing. Like, yeah, she'll be able to win challenges, but I feel like she's probably one of the more jacked people who has kind of the perfect body type to win a lot of these like balanced strength competitions. So I don't know. I feel like she has enough red flags where I wanted someone else to waste some money on her.
Yeah, and I'm totally fine with Intern getting her at 70. Even Vaughn, what was it? It was like the jump to 40, and then Vaughn, did you do 50?
I think I was out at 50.
You were out at 50, and then I think it was maybe whatever it was. I was just like,
I have her very low. I
don't know how much I would have gone with her. So
sounds like we're all in agreement that I should have gotten Natalie.
Yeah, congrats on Natalie. Intern, none of us are that bummed about it. Intern, you've almost used half your money now. I just want you to know that. How's that feel?
I don't know. I feel like it's on fine players.
I'm just saying. All right, Alexa, your nomination.
Let me look at this. I will nominate Ben for $10.
That brings it to you, Vaughn.
Yeah, 20.
I will do 30.
40.
50.
I'm out.
I will do 60.
I'm out.
Oh, 70.
All right, I'm out now.
That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted him for 70.
I like Ben all of a sudden.
I am feeling Ben. I knew I was going to get him low.
What do you like about Ben? What has changed?
I think so. I've always liked him. Oh, that thing is gonna gone. I hate the hate, but he is a very affable, likable guy. And if you watch his videos, he's a huge goofball. And sure, he doesn't look like that at first glance. And sure, the last, let's say 7 days of his game, he wasn't like that, but that was the way the game went. He had no other option other than to keep going because they were never going to let him back in. So when people say he has a bad social game, he didn't have a bad social game. He had a bad one at the end because there were no other options. And so I think he's extremely aware of how his win is perceived. And I think it sort of benefits him because he is a one-time winner and he's only a one-time player. And it's similar to Michele where his win is so controversial that it almost feels like part of it was taken away. And so I think he is very aware of how he's going to be perceived. And I don't think he's going to play that kind of idle, hungry, me against the world attitude. So I'm super happy with where I got Ben.
His ET Canada interview like really made me be like, man, like this guy knows how he was perceived. He does not care, and he's ready to go out there and like win this game. Like I really was sold on that. And I liked Ben during his season. I thought he was great. I do not like. I understand that people wanted Chrissy to win, but I don't get the Ben backlash. I thought Ben was awesome. We met Ben in person, or I met Ben in person. Alexa, you weren't there, I don't think, but I met Ben in person. Great guy, like just awesome to be around. Very humble. And like, I think that's something that doesn't come across because of all the Ben bombs and stuff, but his back was against the wall the entire time. He had to be dropping Ben bombs and he had to be cocky because he had to play it up so much. I actually was hoping to get Ben later in this draft. And Alexa, you nominated him pretty early and I was hoping you wouldn't have kept going high on him, but because I spent the 210 on Michele right off the bat, I want to see what's left because there's still a lot of people left that I like. And I kind of want to see what I can get later down the line. So I didn't want to go too high on
big names are still here.
I know. I didn't want to go too high on Ben and be looking at like having less than $200 left with a lot of big names left. So I do like Ben. I would have loved to have Ben on my team, but I'm okay with you taking him and now having. So Alexa, you have Jeremy, Denise, and Ben, and you have $210 left, which means you do have more than the average left for your last two players. So good job on that. Does anybody else want to weigh in on Ben?
Not very good at balancing money, so this is huge.
Yeah, I mean, this is pure like emotion or rationality on my part. I actually do think he'll probably go pretty deep. I just don't particularly like him, honestly. I mean, I agree with all the points. I think he actually people do forget.
We all have our people.
This is just pure like I just would rather not have him on my team, honestly. I think he is like a good person, and I think people do forget how likable he was at the beginning of the game because of all the controversy that ensued. But I'm a Chrissy guy, and so my fundamental premise I'm operating here from is that Ben is the only person on this season who's actually not a winner.
I love that.
I like the conviction. I like it.
Yeah, no, yeah, you have your reasons.
And I spent the most money on the only person on the season who really isn't a winner, which is Michele, right? Yeah. I mean, she actually didn't win her season. Jeff just read the votes wrong. That's what happened. I mean, it's like, it's crazy. But no, I do hear what you're saying. And hey, like, yeah, there's some people that I would be like, no, I'm going to do 0 on that. So I get it.
When they're doing Winners at War 2 in season 80, Vaughn's going to take Chris Underwood first.
Oh, no doubt. 100%. I'm going to go. What's the max you can bid on someone? I guess like what, 460?
Well, you could do 500 and then you would just get stuck with the last 4 people.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do then.
I think overall, like my opinion on Ben, I just like, so considering the spreadsheet again, he's in a tier of people that I already have, and there are other people that I do kind of want to spend some more money on. I think that in terms of his gameplay from like a non-numbers perspective, and again I haven't met him, but I think for me it's hard for me to see him play like a different game, and I feel like he is good at the game that he played when he won, but he needs, like, I feel like you need to vary it up in order to win this all winner season. And I feel like the winner is going to be able to change their style of gameplay, and be able to adapt to the new situation. And I personally feel like that he would have a hard time being in some sort of like, very like a very orderly season where, people, I don't know. I think it's going to be difficult for him. So. Yeah, that's why I didn't pick him.
Great lead into you nominate back to back here, intern. So choose
God, I was trying to extend that as long as possible. Let's go. Man, they're like I'm trying to. I have like 2 people.
We have
right,
like the big names and the not big names left. It's really interesting how this shook out.
Small names.
Yeah.
Let's go with Danni for 40.
Oh.
Okay, that brings it to you, Alexa.
50.
60.
70.
80.
I'm out. I love her, but I'm out.
So it's 80 to me.
It would be, you'd have to do 90 at least.
I'll do 90.
I'll do 100.
The threshold.
I'm out.
I'll do 110.
Trying to calculate. I'm trying to see like in the reflection in that picture behind you what your spreadsheet looks like, Vaughn. Because I'm trying to where does he have?
Just said, let's run Phil's money up.
Yeah, God. Oh,
This is a tough one.
Because here's the way I look at Danni. Do I think she can win? Yes, but do I think it's likely she wins? No. So
exactly.
I kind of feel the way I feel about. I'm going to give Vaughn Danni for 110. 100, 110 was really where I felt on her. 120, it's just like I don't know. What's her ceiling, Vaughn? Tell me what her ceiling is.
110 is a great buy for Danni.
Yeah, I think her ceiling is like second or third. I mean, that she could be like a 1 or 2 or 3 vote finalist. I don't think she's going to win. I don't think she'll play a flashy enough game. I think 110 is probably about the highest I would go. I have her as kind of like more or less an average player, but since I saved a couple of dollars on Sophie, I felt like I could afford to go $10 over average here. I mean, the thing with Danni is, number one, who's coming for her? You know, I mean, no one's coming for her. She played, I think, as we know, but probably the overall community doesn't know. She played a really underrated game in Guatemala. I think that her strategic chops are questionable. I think that her ability to sort of adapt to the modern game is questionable. She's probably one of the prime candidates to be lost in a new school environment, but she's also a prime candidate to be completely forgotten about and coast into the finale. And when you watch her interviews, you're really reminded of why she did so well in that season, because she just pops off the screen. She's so charming. And, I remember, Steph basically being like, we should just keep Danni around. She's just so cool. I don't want to get rid of her. So, she hasn't kept up with the show. She hasn't really analyzed other people's games. So there are some clear red flags here. But I think for about an average price, I think she's a good bet.
I would, like I said, I would have went to 110. But 120 is just like it just starts getting to that point. Then I'm like, I don't think Vaughn's going to do 130, because then you're starting to get to the point like she's way more valuable. But I do like Danni. She is in incredible shape. Clearly just like kept it going afterwards. Like, and I think because she's so underrated, she is somebody who's going to make the merge, maybe wins an immunity or two. But then what happens? Do you know what I mean? Like, how many points are you really going to get? Maybe she makes it to day 20. She wins an immunity. That's it, though. I don't see her getting idols, playing idols, things like that. So I don't see her.
You're banking on her being a GOAT, basically. You're banking on her kind of getting the final 8 and then sort of like being attached to a few stronger players and then making it to the end. I think she's basically just kind of like depth. She's like someone who's going to be around. Who's going to pick up days for you.
And because I spent 210 on Michele, I don't want to spend 110 on somebody that I'm just hoping gets far in the game. So that's where I stand on that. Intern, you are nominating again.
I am nominating again. Let's go Tyson for 50.
Okay. Alexa.
60.
70.
110.
120.
How much money do I have?
It's at the bottom.
It's at the bottom.
Yeah. Oh man. 130.
140.
150.
160.
170.
Oh.
Yep, I didn't expect to do that.
I'm gonna drop.
You said 180?
I did.
190.
Okay, hold on.
Well, it says $210 left. She's got 2 spots.
I'm out.
I'm out.
There we go. 190. Let's go.
Wow.
That was the one I really wanted. So
I was pushing that, and I did not know if I was going to accidentally buy him for like all my money.
You almost did, which would have been fine because you only had one person left, and you're probably just like you just get stuck with somebody. It's like what you'd do anyway in a real draft.
I was nervous.
So I have to figure out. So Robert, you have $70 left. Robert,
that's all I need. All I need is $70.
Give us your take on Tyson.
All right. So I think out of like you think of like the pantheon of like winners of like all the good winners, and I think that like you think of like Boston Rob, Sandra, Parvati, and I feel like Tyson is like just under that, and I feel like people forget about how dominant of a win he had in Blood versus Water. And I think at the beginning of like all the press stuff for season 40, like he wasn't that highly thought of, but like since then he's gone up in terms
His
of
preseason stuff is incredible.
Right. I think also you know, in Game Changers, we saw like all of the early threats like got out early because, you know, there's like the few big threats and then like a bunch of smaller threats and they banded together and take out the big threats, right? I think Tyson is good enough, and because of the way that the season is set up, there are so many big threats that there will be people that fall through the cracks. And I feel like Tyson is skilled enough to be able to fall through those cracks. And he's also strategically smart enough to be able to, you know, win the game, right? I mean, like, yeah, he had his blunder in Heroes vs. Villains, but if that works out, like, he's in a really good spot. So
I think Tyson losing twice is the best quality he has going into this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think overall Tyson, like, I mean, yeah, he has his, you know, his like really sharp tongue, but he's like, from what I've heard about people meeting him, like, he is incredibly nice and caring, and I feel like he has a lot of like other connections to people on the season that'll be able to help him out and not, like, you know, hurt him just because he knows Boston Rob.
And
so overall, I'm happy with this Tyson for 190. Yeah, it's a little pricey, but I think he'll be fine.
And I don't know whether he's making it up or if he's telling the truth, but he made it seem like the family visit thing where pretty much the entire clan is coming out was his idea. And if that's the case, he doesn't know about Edge of Extinction, if you're going to be able to see your family. He's got so much like want to get there, so much motivation to get to that family visit now, because he doesn't want everybody else to get what he thinks he created. So I do like Tyson a lot. I really wanted to get Tyson. I didn't want to spend $200. I didn't want to have two people that I'm spending $410
I didn't spend $200 on him either, Phil.
I know, but I think he's got also a low floor where he could go out pretty early in this game.
But I mean, if you're not willing to take risks, like, why play Survivor, right?
Yeah,
well, Robert, I love it.
Don't give me attitude.
I think it's a good pick. I mean, I wouldn't have bid him up. I wasn't bidding up for fun. I wanted him to. 200 was a little pricey, just given my roster construction here. I would have had basically 2 weak players left. I would have had Tyson anchoring my roster. I'd like to have at least 2 players that I feel good enough that they could win. So it's just too expensive for me. But I think Robert is right on with Tyson's upside here. I think that he really, over the arc of his appearances on Survivor, he's shown legitimate improvement as a player. He's really fun to be around. He could easily just kind of be like, you know, the jester and just kind of stick around because he's, you know, just a funny guy. He can win challenges down the stretch if he needs to. I don't think that people are going to be coming after him early on. And unlike a few of the other players that have been taken, if he's in that final tribal, as we've seen, he's capable of giving a really, really compelling performance no matter who he's sitting next to. So I do think, you know, he's not my winner pick, but he's very close. Like, I think that he's one of the 2 or 3 people I consider to have the best chance of winning. So I can't really say that 190 is a bad price for him. If you have a really good chance of winning, it just, with my roster right now, it didn't really make any sense.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'd be down to $100 and I'd have Michele and Tyson, which is great. But if Tyson does go out early, because I'm confident Michelle's just going to, you know, run this thing. But if Tyson were to go out early, that would really hurt me, because then I have $100 for people like Rob, Sandra, Amber, who maybe they could go far, but they're not going to win. Like, I'm banking on them just going far. So, yeah, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 11 people left. So we're almost at the halfway point. And Alexa, you are nominating.
Oh, crap. I thought Intern still had to do a second one. Yeesh. Okay, let's do.
On the spot. On the hot seat.
Didn't see that one coming. All right. I'm going to put out Parvati Shallow for $10.
Vaughn.
120. Vaughn goes.
No, just 20.
Oh, I was like, oh,
it really did sound like you said 120.
Holy crap.
I was like, wow, Vaughn loves Parvati. All right, I'm going to do 40.
I'm out.
Wow.
$70. Like, what do you
Yeah, I forgot. 60.
I know.
I'll do 70.
80.
Let me look. I'll do 90 on Parv. Yeah.
100. This is so tense.
I know. Hang on. I'm looking at who else is here.
I know I didn't do a good job of keeping track of who's still around.
You did 100 on Parv?
I sure did. This is a really hard one.
That's the thing. Like, I'm looking at this. This is my thing. Dick puncher. She could win some MVPs though. That's my big
I'm
thing.
so happy that you just said his title.
Why you didn't need to say that, Phil?
Did you not realize it until it came out?
No, I did.
Okay.
It's how I'm buying time here. I don't think she's gonna win. So Alexa, you can have her for 100.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Parvy's going far. She goes far every time. She's got the kid.
Oh, it's true.
She's got the kid.
Yeah.
The kid's like 10 months old. She's a different Parvati. Everyone wants to work with her. Everyone wants to hide behind her. I don't know if she can win. I think if she gets to the end, she can totally win. And that's not to say anything about backstories, because I see people talking about this in the chat. I would like to think that backstories won't have it, like previous wins/losses won't have anything to do with like final tribal. I have no idea. But Parvati averages like 4th place.
Yeah.
So I had a feeling I would get her around this price, but I'm really happy that I did.
Yeah, I would have, like, again, because I did the 210 and there's 3 other people that I'm willing to go high on. Just throwing that out there for everybody who's paying attention. There's 3 other people who I'm willing to go high on. So because of that, like, Parv isn't somebody I'm really willing to like keep pushing. I don't want to pay more than 100 on Parv. There's 3 other people I'd pay more than 100 on.
I wasn't gonna go past like 130.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured. I was going to push you a little bit further, but I wasn't sure if you would have done 120. So, but I do like her. I think out of the big names, she's got the best chance to go far because she's proven time and again that she can adapt like nobody else. And she is so good at that. So I was kind of surprised when Vaughn dropped out. I knew Intern was going to drop out because he only got 70. Vaughn, why did you drop out so early?
So I think this really comes down to like what's your take on Parv, right? I mean, do you think that she basically lives up to her reputation as one of the greatest Survivor players ever? If you think that, then I think around $100 is a really good price for her. I just basically don't think that. I think that she's going to be seen as one of the legends in the show. So going back to my famous Delta, of like what's the difference between
I missed the Delta
actual ability and their perceived ability, which I've actually gotten through like an hour of the podcast without mentioning so far. She's going to be seen as like one of the big trophies to get out, right? I mean, she's going to be viewed as one of the most threatening players ever in Survivor history. But I think that there's some downside there. I mean, I think that she hasn't played in a decade. She's not viewed as an old school player. And so she's not getting kind of like an old school draft discount in the draft, but she hasn't played in a decade. I mean, I don't think that she's necessarily going to just walk in there and be completely current on how new school Survivor is played. I think that, she didn't play a flawless game her last time out, to say the least. I don't think she has a flawless career track in Survivor history with 2 of her performances, I think, being relatively underwhelming, even though her placement is, average is obviously good. People last time, I mean, give credit to where it's due with Sandra, but people on the jury last time were actively trying to vote against her because how low, they felt that her game was. And obviously aligning with Russell will do that to you. And he's not on this season, though I'm sure he would like to be. I'm basically just, not buying Parvati. I didn't want to spend about an average amount. I probably would have taken her for 50 or something like that. But I'm down on her.
Okay. Well, we're halfway through now. I'll give a quick update. The scores are at the bottom there. How much everybody has left is at the bottom. I only have Michele. Alexa has Jeremy, Denise, Ben, and Parv. She can only get one more person. Vaughn has Sophie and Danni. And Robert has Ethan, Natalie, and Tyson. That's where we're at the halfway point. Vaughn, you are nominating.
I'm going to go with someone who's, I think, a little bit overdue, and I'm going to put $10 on Adam.
I will do. He said Adam. I'll do 50 because obviously I'm going to get him up. So 50.
I am out.
80.
I am out.
Okay. I'll do 90.
I'm good.
Okay. I got him for 90. I'll take that for 90. Thank you,
Guys,
everybody.
You needed to push him up. I only have $110.
It was all Vaughn, baby.
It was supposed to be that we were teaming up on that
That's
one.
such a good deal.
I wasn't sure how much he would be willing to spend. I'm just not like
I only have 110.
Did a good job of getting in my head about how he didn't necessarily need to have Adam as long as he had Michele, and so I thought he was going to leave me holding the bag.
I got Michele and Adam, kids.
Damn it. We could have jacked. Oh, guys.
But you couldn't see. This is why I love like Vaughn.
I couldn't have been the last one on that.
I wanted to say Vaughn. Very, very good move bringing him up. Vaughn just muted himself, or did I mute? Oh, there we go.
There we go.
You're good. I good move bringing Adam up now because I was sitting here and I'm like, man, like Alexa and Intern literally can't make me spend more on Adam. And that's kind of the point we were getting to with a lot of this right now. Like Vaughn has a lot left. So really whoever Vaughn wants, he might be able to get, but he still has to get 3 people on his team. So we'll have to see how this goes. But yeah, I did like this. So I'm very excited that I got Adam for under 100, which everybody knows I would have went really high on Adam. So now I got Adam and Michele at 300. I got them pretty much 150 each. I'll take that.
Yeah,
blow us.
I rated Adam pretty highly.
I didn't know how much you do. The last thing I wanted is to like blow up my roster with like a 130 Adam move.
Yeah, I'm happy I didn't have to.
Well, now we know what Vaughn does not value Adam.
What do you not like about Adam that you would not get him for 130 for?
Man, so I love Adam. Obviously, I know his history on the show. I really like him. I really thought he played a good game last time. But, certainly his game was not perfect. There's an open question about whether the editors chose to sort of highlight his low points as a way to kind of like trick people. But I think that, he's got some obvious downside as someone who is new, who has not had the time to build the relationships with the cast, is someone who's much younger than the average member of the cast, and is someone who has some question marks about his victory. I just feel like I've got him relatively low in my rankings, and just given my roster construction, it was too big of a risk to take him for something like an above average amount. That said, on a personal level, I really, really like him. I hope he does well. I doubted him last time he made me look like an idiot. I hope he does so again, but I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this roster construction you're talking about at the end of it and what your theory behind it
Aren't we all? That's what everyone's
saying. We all?
Yeah. I mean, Vaughn right now is in a good spot. I mean, right now, the way I look at this is like obviously Michele and Adam. Those are my 2. Like I rooted so hard for Michele and Korong, and I love Adam because of everything he did for us, and then obviously is like a friend, so you're gonna root for him. And now I have like 2 people that I can just root for. And I love that. Like, that's what I love about this right here is that I can just root for these people. So that's it. Like now I can figure out, now maybe I can get a little bit smarter with it. We got to start getting Vaughn, spend some money so that he can't just be sitting there getting his thing easy because he saw how easy it was for me to just get Adam. Maybe he thinks he can get some other people easy. So without further ado, I have back-to-back here. I'm going to throw up Tony. And I'm going to start him off at 70. So that means Intern cannot bid on Tony.
Huh.
That's amazing.
What should I do here? I think I'm going to pass.
Smart move.
100.
I'll go 110.
I will do 130. Alexa cannot bid.
Your girl's out.
I will do 140.
Okay, I'll do 150.
I'll do 160.
All right, I'll give him to you for 160.
Okay.
Oh man,
I know. I would not.
But then Phil, you'd only have $40 left.
Even if I had $500, I wouldn't have bought him for 160.
I was waiting for that. I knew that someone eventually would make that move, and I was going to have to sort of basically go big there. But I'm pleased with that. I mean, I passed on Tyson for 200, and I passed on Ethan for 180, and I got Tony for 160. And as I've already told y'all, Tony's my winner pick. So I feel pretty good about this is for the patrons, I suppose, saw this. I feel really good about Tony this season. I think that his game changers performance was the best possible thing that could have happened to him. I think he frankly looked like a buffoon, and I think that everyone is going to have it in his mind that his Kagayama his Kagayama performance was a fluke. He's just a crazy person. He's a mess. He's just going to be doing all sorts of crazy things. We don't even need to worry about him. But I really think that he's someone that has a sneaky mind for the game. I think he's really adept at reading people. I actually think he has really sneaky charisma. People don't remember that, for example, like Spencer really idolized Tony during that season. He really looked up to him. And Tony really, obviously he had help from Trish and others, but Tony was really good at sort of making mistakes and then being able to repair them. And no one's going to work harder than Tony. I mean, Tony basically stays up all waking hours thinking about every single possible move that could happen, every single kind of conversation he can have with every single person. So no one's going to work harder than him. And I think that game changers, I actually had him ranked really low when we did this fantasy draft, back then because I thought his threat level was so high that it swamped his actual ability. This time, I think he's actually one of the better players in this season, but I think his threat level is among the lowest. And so I think he's going to win, and I'm certainly pleased to get him for 160.
And what you said to us that really like got me was when you were saying like if since this jury is going to be everybody probably. I mean we have Edge of Extinction, so pretty much everybody's going to be here. If everybody's voting and they're all sitting at Edge of Extinction, a big conversation is probably going to be, this is the all-winner season. Who do we want to represent this season? Yeah. And I think that if Tony somehow makes it all the way to the end, it's kind of like a Sandra Parvati type thing. How the hell did you get there? And yes, we want you to represent our season, because everybody knows the All-Stars thing. We have not said Amber's name yet here, but everybody's very low on Amber as a winner because All-Stars, it doesn't feel like she should have won. And a lot of people don't like All-Stars as a season, and it also has a very weak winner. You know, I think that if you're looking at this, you want the winner of an all-winner season to be just an absolutely like legendary winner. So that was, I knew that you liked Tony. You had a lot more money than me. You were just sitting up there way too high. I knew that if all of a sudden we all start spending, you're going to get Tony for like 100. I couldn't let you do that, but I didn't want to go any higher because then I have $20 left. And I literally am just stuck with whoever the hell I get. So, but good for you getting him for 160. Yeah. I do think he's somebody though who could go out super early, and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, I spent 160. So that's why I didn't want to go too much higher.
And so I remember during the Game Changers preseason press, Tony had this interview where he said Kalkayan was a 6 out of 10. Game Changers is going to be an 8 out of 10, and whatever's next, that's going to be a 10 out of 10. And obviously that didn't work out. But in this season's preseason press, you see him like, I'm going to tone it back. Like, I need to tone it back. Game Changers didn't work, and I agree. Like, that was, getting voted out 19th was the best thing that could have happened for Tony in terms of like competing on an all-winner season.
And really, everybody liked him on that season, and he would have made it further had he not been going absolutely bonkers. Like he would, like they were willing to work with him and get him through because he's a great shield. And we play in a shield era of Survivor where you want to keep a shield, but Tony's a shield that you have to cut Tony at like 9. Because with how many advantages and everything are in this game, you run out of chances to get rid of Tony, especially with Edge of Extinction and all of that stuff. Though I don't think him coming back from Edge of Extinction, I don't think anybody's going to win coming back from Edge of Extinction because nobody wants to see it. Tony was very vocal that he hates the fact that Edge of Extinction is there.
A lot of people are against it.
Yeah, he was very against it too. But so what's interesting though is, he comes back, he's still sitting at final, and you get the points for the fact that he did win his way back from Edge of Extinction. So I do think Tony, a lot of upside for a fantasy game. So Vaughn, your team is shaping up. I will now throw up somebody else. I'm going to throw up Queen 2.0, and I'm going to put Sandra up, and I'm going to do 10.
I'm going to pass. I'm out.
I'll do 20.
I'm out.
I'm going to give her to Alexa, and now Alexa has her completed team. Alexa going home with $90 extra to spend on her shocks.
You can't even buy shocks with that. I don't know how much shocks
I'm going to go buy myself a pizza.
Alexa, we are playing with Vaughn real money, so you do get $90 from Vaughn. He will Venmo you immediately after this podcast.
Y'all suck.
Your name.
That's it, Vaughn. Well done, sir, on making that happen. I love it. Alexa, you now have to listen to the rest of this podcast.
Can we speed this up? Can I help people with my $90?
No, I think that way. I don't know if we can pool money but
I just want y'all to suck up to me.
In the Survivor auction, when they would pool money, everybody would get benefits from it. And then all of a sudden you're getting benefits from it. I don't know how I feel about that.
I would like benefits, but we can talk if anyone's interested. Your girl's got 90.
And Alexa is removed from the stream. That's what I was kind of hoping for, because either I get Sandra for 10 and I don't really care because I still have 3 slots on my team, or Vaughn accidentally gets her for 20 and then he only has 1 slot left, or Alexa does what she just did and now Alexa's done, and there's still some big names that I know Alexa loves out there. Alexa, how you feeling right now?
You know what? I'm really happy with my team. I'm not happy with my stuttering to the end. But
I think Sandra for 20 is still like
pretty good.
Not a bad deal, right?
It's a good move, yeah.
Yeah.
So you had so much more.
So the thing is, I forget which one of you guys said this first. I like Sandra, so I am happy that I will have a reason to root for her. I mean, I guess I'll just list through my whole team. I have Jeremy, Denise, Ben, Parvati, and Sandra.
And $90 extra.
And $90 extra to spend on like wings for the Super Bowl later.
Yeah.
I'm down with it. Like certainly do not think she will win. I mean, she was gonna last longer in Game Changers. Like she was supposed to last longer than she did. I just don't think they'll let her get to the end. It's not like she's good in challenges, so maybe they let her hang around a little bit. Maybe they hide behind her. I think Boston Rob goes in for Sandra.
I agree.
I think Sandra's two upsides are one, that like going back to earlier, like there are so many big threats that like you literally can't get all of them out. And then eventually, like, you know, the power dynamic will change and someone else will have idols and you got to flush the idol or whatever. Second upside, if Sandra makes it to final 3, she wins the game. But that is very hard. However, if it does happen, she wins. So like, you know, if she weasels her way to the end, what if she's challenge beast Sandra? What if she comes off and like, you know, wins 5 immunities in a row and ties the record and wins the game? Like, you know.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this like I really wanted Denise, and I was pretty pumped about getting Parvati. I'm looking at who's left. Now I can show my cards. Like, I was gonna go pretty hard for Amber, and like I was interested in Wendell and Kim, but I am pretty darn happy with what I've got here.
Yeah.
Can I go to lunch now, or do I have to stay?
Yeah, Alexa, I mean, you can still give your input, but it'll be more of like, wow, I would have spent all my $90 on that person. Like you did. I mean, see, Alexa, you did a great job of managing the money. You were actually under the threshold with one person left. You could have gotten 110 there. I'm so happy you did that. I mean, I would have been fine with Sandra on my team for 10. I really would have. I was like, I was like, whatever, I'll take Sandra. Figure I'm going to get one of Sandra, Amber, Rob. Like, I'll take Sandra. That's cool. I get to root for I get both queens on my team and Adam. I mean, I got the 2 queens and the Jack, right? Like, I mean, I feel like that's what that should be. So it's like, I like having that. But I mean, Alexa, if you now, I guess you still nominate people though, right? No, I guess she does.
I'm nominating.
You're still nominating.
Yeah,
somebody's gonna get. Yeah. So then it would just go to whoever's next would just get it for 0 if nobody bid. So, Vaughn, you are nominating, and remember, Alexa is done.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna go Nick for 10.
Okay, I will do 30.
I'm out.
I will do 40.
Okay, I'll do 50.
Phil, he really likes him.
I can tell.
I'll do 60.
We'll do 60, huh? Let me see. So if I do that, Vaughn's going to get one person he wants, but he won't get both that he wants.
Phil, check it up.
I'll do 70.
I like Vaughn being in an uncomfortable position.
I know Vaughn's like
it's so fun.
And stuff, and
I'll do 80.
I remember you really liked Nick because he reminds you of you. That was like your whole thing. We did season 37.
Nick's got a wicked dad bod. He prepped hard for this.
Oh yeah.
He does. I do like he got the new haircut and everything. Like Nick is killing it. So you just did 80.
Come on, Phil.
Alexa, I don't like this like input from over there. If you had 90, if you still in, you could have bid your 90 right now.
Well, Phil, if you didn't totally screw me, I would be helping you.
I'm gonna do 90.
I'm out.
Okay, I'll take Nick for 90. I wanted him under.
That's
100.
not bad.
That's good.
Yeah, I wanted Nick under 100 if I could get.
But are you upset that you don't have your boy?
Somewhat upset, but yeah, I'm just thinking about who's left. There are enough people that left that I like. I think making Phil spend almost 100 there that sets me up well for the end of the game. But I do love Nick. I think that he's got a very, very good chance to win. I may end up regretting passing on him for 100. If I have a regret from the draft, that'll end up being it. I mean, he's got obvious downside, right? I mean, he's just like Adam. He's younger than most of the cast. He hasn't had time to build relationships. But I think, absolutely no one is talking about him in the preseason interviews as someone to target. I do think, the dad bod is going to make him sort of have some sort of sneaky athletic upside. He was great in challenges down the stretch during his season. I think he's really charismatic. I think if people are banking on him, pulling the same old like named alliances strategy, they're clearly going to be, fooled because he's going to come at it with a completely different approach this time. So I think, obviously he does remind me of myself, and just like me, he won his first time out, and I would not be surprised if just like me, he won his second time out. So, so I think it's a good pick. It's something that I, may regret, but I just think just looking at the math, this was the right move.
Yeah, we all have 2 people left now, except for Alexa, who has her full team, which people are like mad that you can't spend the rest of your money. It's like, that's the point of the auction draft.
That's the point.
You got to figure out how to use your 5 and
I'm excited to just be the peanut gallery now.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, you're like the Muppet guys who sit up at the top,
I know
whatever their name is.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But I did. I mean, hey, like I like Nick. I don't think Nick can win because he's the most recent winner. And normally the most recent players don't do great on seasons. I think he could get to the end. I don't think that he's somebody who's necessarily going to be able to like kill it at a final tribal. Remember, he didn't really kill it as much at his final tribal. Like he did okay, but Mike White was able to snag a couple votes from him. So I do like Nick, but I'll take Nick under 100. That means like he gets me like, just get to the merge. That's what I want from Nick. And I think that that's very possible for Nick. I think it's very likely that he probably gets to the merge. So yeah, I'm happy with this. And, as long as I didn't have to go to 100 and now we all have 2 left, Vaughn, you're definitely in the best spot. But I mean, I could still get you to have to pay 120 for somebody, which is
I could get you to have to pay 80.
He could. Intern could. So Alexa, despite the fact that you're not really in the game, who are you nominating?
I'm going to nominate Wendell Holland.
Okay. So that goes to Vaughn immediately. So Vaughn, you could just start it at 10.
10.
Yeah. I will do 20.
70.
Robert did just do hot yoga with Wendell.
I did. Yeah, that probably is it. Whatever. 70.
I'll do 80.
I'm gonna drop. So Vaughn gets him for 80.
Go.
I like Wendell. I do, but I keep going back to the fact he was in a lot of trouble at the beginning of his game in Ghost Island. And I worry that on this type of season where everybody knows, I feel like everybody knows Wendell. I feel like he's always around. I feel like everybody really likes Wendell. But I do wonder if, I just made it all me. I do wonder if he's going to run into a little bit of trouble just because of how smooth he is and people kind of see through it because these are some of the best players ever. But Vaughn, what do you like about it? I mean, you did get him for under 100, which is
good. It was
a
joke. I said I would force Vaughn to spend 80, and I actually did.
Yeah,
you did.
Nice.
Perfect.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, what's weird is that I like Nick actually more than Wendell, but I wasn't willing to spend 100 on Nick, and I was willing to go 80 on Wendell. So I guess the differences are pretty small here, but especially down here in the end game. I mean, I think Wendell, we all know kind of his upside, right? I mean, I think recency bias is probably not his friend. I think his dominance would be, and his game would be less remembered if a few more years had passed. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be one of the more immediate targets just purely because of his low-key personality. I think he's probably the most likable of the recent winners on the cast. So, I mean, he's the kind of guy who I think a lot of people are probably going to be picking as their winner. I'm not necessarily as high on him as others. I think that, he's someone who I think once you get down to 8 people left and you start looking around, it starts to become pretty obvious that he needs to be someone you get out as sooner rather than later, given his challenge prowess, fire making ability, etc. So I am not as high on him as other people are. I'm not as high on him as I am for Nick. However, for $80 at this point in the game, I think that is a pretty good price point. I mean, as a reminder, I spent 70 on Sophie and 110 on Danni. So to get Wendell for 80 feels about right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you do this style of draft, you might get people that you like more for less money, but it's because you're down and you're looking at everybody else's. How much do they have? And I mean, right now I'm sitting here and there's one person that I would spend over 100 on left, and I'm the only person with over 100. So I'm feeling good, and I might spend more on that person than I did on some other people, but it's just because you guys can't spend it. So that's just where I'm at with that. So I do like Wendell. I think he's got a lot of upside. I just think that he could also just be 13th place, 13th, 12th, something like that. Kind of what I thought was going to happen to him in Ghost Island, just right at the merge. So I don't know. That's what it feels like for me. But Robert, you get back-to-back nominations. You will do and then we'll do one, and then we're in the last round, and then it's everybody's last nomination.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
This is kind of tough. Kind of a tough choice.
Just to give a quick update, you have 2 people left to pick. I have 2 people left to pick, and Vaughn has 1 person left.
Right. This is difficult.
Intern is struggling.
Right, because I have 2 left, and these are my last 2 nominations, right? So no room for error here. I mean, it's only like 1 in 5. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I know.
Let's do Amber for 70.
Wow.
1 and done.
I'm next.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah, I'm absolutely out. And now
Yeah,
Intern, you can have Amber for
Like,
70.
right
I was
where I
willing to
wanted
put $0 on Amber. Why are you high on Amber?
All right, so here's the thing. Either Rob or Amber is getting voted out first, right? Obviously, because you don't want those people making the merge together. If Rob's tribe loses first, Rob gets voted out, and suddenly Amber's safe, right? No one on the other side. She's an underrated winner. People still think that she was, there are people that will root for Amber and say that she was like a good and deserving winner, but she does not have a high threat level. So as soon as Rob's done with gone in the game, Amber immediately is safe until at least the merge.
What if she loses first?
If her tribe loses first, there still is a chance people are like, well, we could force Rob out if we keep Amber around.
And everyone wants Tony gone, or not Tony. Everyone wants Sarah gone, and Sarah's on that tribe.
Sarah's on that tribe. So I'm looking at. I think that there's a 30% chance she gets voted out first, and a 70% chance that she makes at least the merge. And so for $70, I think that's a pretty good deal.
Well, especially since it was your last 70, and now you're just going to get stuck with whoever the hell me and Vaughn don't want.
Honestly,
I like how Robert has 0 and I am done.
Yeah, because Alexa, you can't pick anymore. Robert has 0 to spend on all these fancy people.
Yeah, and I'll talk more about some more draft theory afterwards because I still have, not that I have much power left in this draft, but I still
have none.
You literally have 0.
I have some vested interest, right? So we'll keep that around. I'm happy with the Amber pick. I want to hear what your guys' opinions are.
Well, let's hear Vaughn's first because he was just like, what?
Some choice words ready.
I am out on Amber. Yeah, I mean, I don't really. I think that there is a very likely scenario where we see some poetic justice for what happened to Lex here. And instead of Amber being saved because of Rob in the pre-merge, she is taken out because of Rob in the pre-merge. I think that is an incredibly likely scenario. I think she has a very low floor as a result. And I think she has a very, very low ceiling. I don't think that there's really any scenario I can imagine her winning the game. And even if Rob is not around, even just completely taking Rob out of the picture, I'm just not sure that she's a good enough player to hang with these folks down the stretch of the game. So I think she's at risk of going home early. She's at risk going home in the middle, and she can't win. So I've got her way down at the bottom. I would have not have taken her for $0.
I would have been stuck with her. That's exactly how I felt. I would have been stuck with Amber. But Alexa, you were high on her too.
I would have liked to have Amber.
I think she is better upside than out of the people left in the draft, Yule, Rob, Sarah, Kim. I think that I don't think I could have. I feel like there are other people want Yule and would have been able to outbid me. And I feel like Amber was a better choice than Rob, Sarah, or Kim. So
you're out of your mind. Alexa, what did you like about Amber? Because clearly Vaughn and I are on the same page.
The thing with Amber is we've talked ad nauseum about the Boston Rob thing. I think he goes home way before she does. Mm-hmm. But people think that she hasn't been people think she doesn't like Survivor. She still watches it every single week. She's just not going to events and talking to people. That's just not her vibe. But you're telling me that she's married to Boston Rob and she doesn't have all these pregame alliances too. Mm-hmm. So I think she's going to be fine. I think there's something about Amber in both her seasons. If nothing else, people just liked her. She was like this cute, innocent, 20 whatever year old. Now she's the mom. I think being a mom on the season that's going to be really similar to Second Chances is going to be something that a lot of people have in common. And I think she can so easily say, like, what threat am I? I didn't do anything in my seasons. She can easily say that and people will be like, you're right. Let's get rid of Sarah, because every single woman wants Sarah out. And I think the second that happens, you get Sarah out, you get Rob out. She's in it for a week and she'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, hey, she's got to get through that early portion, though.
Yes,
and
she
I really
does.
worry
She
that
is
she doesn't. And I would not have spent 70. I mean, right now, the lowest amount spent on any player, which was Sandra, was 20. Other than that, it was 70 on a lot of people. And like Ben at 70, Sophie at 70, Natalie Anderson at 70. I think those are all way better deals than getting Amber at 70.
Someone just made a very good point. Mitchell Bridwell just said, if Rob's on the edge, he may use that opportunity to send her advantages.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Huge. No, it's huge. I also think, though, that Amber, this is my theory. Amber, because she won the game and because her and Rob have so much money between them with Survivor, and because of all that, if she gets voted out first, I could very easily see her quitting Edge of Extinction. Because why is she going to stay?
That's understandable. Yeah.
So I think that there's a good chance to lose points on her.
I think that's part of, obviously it's a risk and why we're waiting until the end to do it. Also, I've been learning poker a little bit. I'm not that good, but I know that there is like one concept where it's like if you are low in cash, which I obviously am, there's no point in it wouldn't have been worth it for me to try to buy someone for $60 and then have $10 left, because $10 is
that's fair.
Of course, yeah,
right. It's equivalent to me having zero, so I might as well spend.
You could have tried to get her for nothing, right?
You could have just put her up, yeah.
Yeah, you could have just put her up.
I mean, yeah, but I would have, again, in my value, I'm valuing her higher than you guys are. So I was willing to just
I probably would have done a reverse thing where I probably would have put up maybe somebody that I didn't want as much. Like you said, like if you don't like maybe Kim, I would have probably thrown up Kim, have me and Vaughn bid on Kim, you drop out, and then probably say, okay, now I'll put up Amber for 10 when we're all low, and then neither one of us is big.
I mean,
but you didn't learn poker yet. You're learning. It was
also funnier, so.
It was funnier. That's true. The shock value was definitely worth something.
That was fantastic.
Vaughn's face was like, really? I'm done.
Yeah, absolutely worth it.
Well, Intern, you're nominating somebody else, and obviously you can't do it for any money. So unless Vaughn or I bid on this person, you will get them. Who are you bidding or nominating?
I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll go with Yule.
Okay. So that leaves Vaughn. You are up.
For those listening on iTunes, it's not glitching. He's just
no, I'm indeed. I will go. I'll go 30.
I'm gonna give him to you because I want Kim.
Wow.
So I'm gonna give him to you because I want. It was. I know you like. It was like this. Phil want Yule. This Phil want Kim. Did you want Yule, or were you just hoping that I would take Yule?
I preferred Kim, but I was happy with either of them.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted. So now I literally do get to just pick the two people I want out of the last three.
There wasn't a good scenario for me because you could have outbid me for Kim.
Mm-hmm.
If I just didn't take Yule, I don't know who would have gotten him.
I was hoping what you would do is just be like 10. I would have done 20. And then if you would have done 30, I wouldn't have done it. But I was like, I could get Yule for 20 and then get Kim still because I would have had 90 and you would have had 80.
I was trying to put that so that I could have more money for you and then get Kim if you did take him.
Mm-hmm.
If I got put with them, yeah.
Because my ideal situation was to get Yule and Kim. I think that would have been great. But there was no way
I wanted to stop you. Yeah, and I wanted to prevent that because I knew if I completely passed on Yule and just said nah, then like you could have outbid me for Kim and then I wouldn't have had either.
And I think this is where it would have gotten tricky is if Intern would have put Yule up first before Amber and he says 20 on Yule and then Vaughn, you say 30, I say 40. If Intern doesn't bid, you got what you wanted. So really Intern doing the Amber thing first is what threw this off.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I feel pick your last two.
Between the two, I'm close enough as between the two. I just wanted to prevent a scenario where I didn't get either. And I wanted to prevent a scenario where Phil didn't get both. I would have preferred to have Kim over Yule, but I'm happy with getting Yule, even though I left money on the table, not quite as much as Alexa. I think, having Yule for a bargain price at the end of the draft is a pretty good position to be in.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I pretty much just do get the last two, right?
Pick your last two, yeah. I don't think we need to go through the formality of the money.
Well, because I have 110, I'm going to take Kim, and I'm actually going to take Boston Bobby.
Boston Bobby, Pensacola Bob.
That's what I would have done.
I mean, why does everybody hate Sarah so much?
I don't think it's a hate. I think her Game Changers game was really freaking good.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody wants to vote her out. Like, everybody wants to vote her out.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's read these out.
All right, so I got Michele first overall, $210 spent on her, the most spent on anybody in the draft, making her the most valuable person on Survivor Winners at War, as we all knew. Then I got Adam, Nick, Kim, and Boston Bobby.
I had Jeremy for 100, Denise for 120, Ben for 70, Parvati for 100, and Sandra for a crisp 20.
That is really what changed this whole draft. That really did change the draft. Vaughn doesn't have it. Vaughn, you have Sophie for 70, Danni for 110, Tony for 160, Wendell for 80, and Yule for 30.
It's a fun one.
For 40.
For 40. Yeah. I love that. Yule for 40. There we go.
30 wouldn't have been enough. I had to do 40.
I got Ethan for 170, Natalie for 70, Tyson for 190, Amber for 70, and Sarah for free.
For free. So there you go. I mean, we're gonna have to put something up on Twitter and everything to get people voting on like how we're feeling. But I mean, other than Alexa's really debacle of Sandra, I really do like that. An intern throwing up 70 on Amber. Like, I think the auction draft does leave it for a little bit more even when we know the players as well as we do, because otherwise it's just like, oh, I didn't want to take that person, but I kind of got stuck with them. Here it's like, you're really like, okay, what do I want? So I thought this was good. And
my strategy going in, I was going in assuming that the last person I would get for $0. I wanted to blow all $500 on 4 people. If you're looking at like points that you get per price, like Sarah, I'm pretty sure is all upside, right? Because I spent $0. I mean, unless she loses points, but let's not talk about that. I spent $0 on her, and if she makes me points, then that's just like it's like infinite return. There's like it's just not even an investment because I didn't have to pay anything. I'm happy with Tyson and Ethan for super high. You guys have talked me down on Amber a little bit, but I'm still sticking with my guns on that. I think I'm fine with Ethan and Tyson, carrying the draft for me.
I mean, and like you just said, you get your returns on 0. Imagine getting 2 people like that. I mean, I did. Arguably the greatest male and greatest female winners. I got Kim and Boston Bobby, so I'm like ready to go. This is great, and I got both of them for 0. So I had a lot of money, and people will be like, "Oh, well, Phil didn't spend his money. Like he could have spent more earlier." I had to not spend my money in order to get Kim, because by having 110 left as late as I did, it's the reason I got Kim. Had I had less left, Vaughn gets Kim, I get Yule, and that's really the end of that story. So I'm happy with getting Kim. I really wanted Kim. I think that watching her pregame press has like really made me be like, you know what, like Kim could pull this thing out. So I really like her. Obviously wanted Michele and Adam. Love that I got Nick. And honestly, if you got to get like a legend and you can't get Sandra or Parv, like, why not take Boston Rob, right? As like the third biggest legend. I was like, I'll take Boston Rob. Like it'll be fun to watch Boston Rob out there, and maybe he pulls something out. Maybe Amber does go home early, and Boston Rob, while a huge threat, is able to get some fire tokens or something like that. We've seen him win challenges. I don't know. Maybe he's well fed and well rested from season 39, and he's ready to go for season 40.
Really hoping you were going to give me Boston Rob, because I think that the threat of one of Boston Rob or Amber getting voted out gets nullified if you have both of them. So I think that would have been a very safe bet for me.
Yeah. And how do you guys feel about your teams, Vaughn and Alexa?
Yeah, no, I like my team. I mean, like I said, I think if I had a regret, it may be that Nick move. But I think if I would have spent 100 on Nick there, assuming you would have let me have him, it might have been tough to fill out my roster with someone as strong as Yule. I mean, my draft strategy going in was actually the opposite. Roberts, which is that I really didn't want very many spikes. That's why I avoid trying to spend the big dollars earlier. I was tempted by Ethan. I was tempted by Tyson. But Robert, I think, executed his draft strategy by beating us out on those. I hung back because there are, a handful of people this season that I'm really low on. And so I actually, because I'm just not as confident, I mean, it's going to be such a crapshoot of a season. All these players in one way or another, except for Amber, are pretty good. And they've all won except for Ben. So I wanted to, it's hard to predict, in other words. It's a really difficult season to predict. And so I feel more confident about the people that I'm low on than about kind of the mishmash of people I have in my top 12 or top 15. So I really wanted my bids to kind of hover along that Mendoza line of $100 as much as possible. Obviously making exceptions for people that I thought could win, but trying to stick as close to there as possible so that I felt pretty good about all 5 of my people. Even if they couldn't, if I don't think they're going to win, I think they're going to be around a long time. And just in as my normal fantasy draft, I tried to mix in, enough heavy hitters with winner upside with a couple people, in this case, Sophie and Danni, who I think could just go far because I don't think they're going to be viewed as threatening, but who I think are maybe a little bit better than people are going to think. And I got them for Danni for 110, which was actually my second biggest amount of money, which I wasn't expecting. And Sophie for 7, which I think was my first pick, and I think a pretty bargain. And then because I hoarded money, I was able to get my winner pick in Tony down the stretch, and then get 2 people in Wendell and Yule for a combined $120. Both of whom I would put in the heavy hitter category of people who, even if I'm not as high on them as I am, for example, on Nick and Kim. So I'll always sort of look back on Phil's team. I'll probably be watching the season thinking back like, oh man, I would have had Nick and Kim. Could I have played it differently and gotten those 2 instead of Wendell and Yule collectively lower on? But that said, I mean, it's hard to complain too much with getting 2 people that have played such good games and are clearly very adept players in Wendell and in Yule rounding out the roster. And I really don't think, I mean, unless you're just really low on Sophie or Danni, I don't think I really have any weak points. Whereas I think, the other teams in the league, if you will, I think have some obvious vulnerabilities where I feel like with all 5 of my shots, they're legitimate shots. They're not.
And I knew coming into this, see, my problem was like, you guys had your strategy of I don't want to do spikes. Alexa, we're going to get to yours in a second, but
I'm spiking.
But the problem for me was I knew you were all going to make me spend high on Michele, and I knew Michele was going to be the first name out there, and I knew I was going to have to do that. So I really did. The rest of the time, I just was like, I have to play defense and try to get Kim or Tony or who was it? It was Kim, Tony, and it was Yule that I was willing to spend on, but I wanted Kim more than I wanted Yule. So it was those 3 that I was willing to spend the money on and go over 100 the rest of the time. So the rest of the time I was playing defense, and I was really happy you guys didn't just put Adam up second because I would have been screwed right away.
That was the turning point.
Yeah, I would have been so screwed. So I knew I was going to have to spend high on Michele, but I'm happy that after spending 210, I only spent 180 the rest of the time. So I feel good about it. But Alexa, what was your strategy before getting Sandra?
So I would like to say that I think I was crushing it up until then. My highest was Denise for 120, and Denise was my version of the Michele. And for me to only get her for 120 is crazy. And then following that with Ben at 70, I was feeling myself after that. I was feeling so good. I'm really, really high on Ben now. I was super low on him. You asked me that like 9 months ago, and I wouldn't have had any faith on him. I got Parvati, I got the legend. I got someone who I think is going to go really far. And then I just stumbled my way to the finish. And I didn't even realize what I was doing, because when we were going back and forth, I was like, oh, I'll just get Phil high and then pull out, and didn't even realize that Phil could reject her before I could.
Yeah, and I just didn't want her at that point. I was like, oh, I'll put 10 on Sandra, expecting Sandra to be my Boston Rob, because I wanted Sandra. If I had to get one of those, like Sandra.
Yeah,
Boston
I'm
Rob,
glad
Amber,
I'm glad that I have a reason to pull for her, but man, I was doing so well.
What a move. That changed everything.
To put a pin in the Yule and Kim discussion, because we never really got a chance to sort of actually talk through them. I think they're actually really similar in the sense that they both played, I think, really good games, but they both could, number one, be seen as big threats. And I think number 2, they could have played better games, or they could have appeared to play better games than they actually are as a player. So I think they're both kind of similar in that regard. Like Kim played with, I think, she played one of the best games ever. No question. She has upside because of that. She's very charming. She can win challenges. She can strategize. She can even find idols. But the problem is that, all of her opponents are going to know that. But I think that there's at least a possibility that she's as good as she appeared in that one magical season, even though she was playing against mostly idiots. So I think that if that's true, she'll be at the end regardless, because she's just that good. Whereas I think with Yule, it's a little different. I mean, I think that he only won by 1 vote against, someone who is not a very good Survivor player, though, obviously he has some, positive attributes. But he's someone who I think his smarts will translate, to the modern era of Survivor. I think he's, he will have done his homework. That said, I think, his sort of old school threat level, artificial kind of lowerer will be out the window the minute he starts talking game with people, because I think that he's going to be clearly so well spoken. He's going to clearly still know the game, and he's still like absolutely jacked. So I think that any sort of like old school sheen he has on him will, I think, dissolve pretty quickly, and he'll be thrown in there with the Kims of the world as a similarly threatening player. And then it's just a matter of, he played in a much different season. Is he as good as that, better than that? And that goes back to the point I've been making, which is these one and done players, on the one hand, have a lot of upside, right? I mean, if Kim and Yule had played a second time and shown us a little bit more, they probably either would have both been lower, much lower, and not as sought after if they had a clunker, or someone who we would have been, putting 160, 180 if they came out and showed their cards well a second time. So I really was sort of like keeping an eye on which of the single season people I buyed and which ones I didn't. And I even went back and rewatched some of the episodes and some of the highlights of some of the one season winners to get an idea of which ones I was buying and selling, because they're the ones who are really going to be variable. Once we started to see these people 2 or 3 times, I feel like we mostly know who they are. But for some of these people, I really think we're overrating our ability to evaluate them. And Kim and Yule are both people who I feel confident after this season we will have a changed perception of.
I completely agree. And that's why I feel like Kim has a better chance to, like, her style of game and when she played and all of that, she has a better chance to actually win this thing, I think, than Yule does. Yule's been out of the community for a while. He's not as involved. I don't think like he's probably friendly with as many people as Kim is. Kim plays in a more recent season. Kim just has like actually used idols that are relevant to this type of season. She played with a weird twist with One World, so she might be more ready for like an Edge of Extinction type thing, even though that's not like a, it's not the same thing, but it's just, she's played after Redemption Island existed. So I do think that Kim, I just think there's more upside. And I would have, if I could have gotten Yule and Kim, I would have been so happy. I would have done like 50 and 60 on each of them. But with you sitting there with 80 left, I wasn't willing to get Yule and not get Kim, but I would have been willing to go much higher on Yule than what he went for sure.
And I guess, and that actually leaves an open question here, which is that, like, how do these relationships, which direction does that play in? We didn't really talk about it very much, but like one of the big difference between the players is obviously how many people are they friends with? And there are a lot of like really confusing maze of, people who know each other and people who don't know each other. And it was mentioned a couple of times, but like, how does that cut?
Alexa, we are about to do our season. We didn't do our January retrospective. Yeah, we didn't do our January retrospective. So right after this, we are going to record a Survivor Season 40 like web. How is everybody connected? How does everybody connect? Because it is insane. And Eric Reichenbach actually gave us the idea because we did a little show with him back like in the summer. And he gave us this idea. And it's like, it is incredible how all these people overlap each other. There are so many.
Yeah, the meta question is like, how does it cut? Like, is the more connections, the better? Is like the quality of connection important? Or is there some hidden? I mean, my view is, I think there's some sneaky upside with some of these people who are actually not hardcore connected. Because I think if I got in the game, one of the most threatening things to me, they're all good players. They all are threatening in their different ways in terms of their gameplay. But one of the big threats, and we've seen this in past returnee season, is who has connections on the other side, who has pre-existing connections on this tribe. And I feel like that would be one of the things I would be weighing. And I think you're going to start seeing these kind of like, pre-alliances or sort of pre-friendships maybe go at each other. And the people that will not be targeted in that scrum are people who have been a little bit disconnected from the world. That's at least one way it could play out. Or it could be that like the cool kids club that all know each other and have been hanging out for the better part of the last decade just steamroll. That could be a too.
Yeah.
We don't really know.
You really don't. So go ahead, Intern.
I was listening to this the newest book by Malcolm Gladwell, Talking to Strangers, and one of the concepts in that is that it's a lot easier for humans in general. It's like a psychology thing that you just assume that strangers are telling the truth to you. So if you're part of like the poker group of all those, like, you know, Tyson, Jeremy, Boston Rob that all play poker together, like you're going to be able to tell when Boston Rob's lying to you because you've been playing poker with him for 10 years, right? But if you go up and like you're talking to Danni and she just says something to you, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I probably trust that, right? Even though you have no basis. And that's just like a human psychology thing of defaulting to truth. So I think that, you know, that could help out the people that aren't.
Have you ever played cards or like Mafia or one of those games?
Yeah.
Group of people, you'll quickly figure this out. Like I've played with like people that I've like played a bunch, like Mafia, for example, a bunch of people I've known for years or whatever. And one of my friends will bring some rando that no one knows and they'll just wipe the floor with us. Because number one, we don't know when they're lying. Number two, we don't have any of the negative perceptions of them or the negative memories of them stabbing us, because a memory of someone stabbing you is a lot more painful and a lot more salient than a memory of someone like telling you the truth. And so, like, you know, people will just vote me out or not believe me when I'm bluffing with cards or whatever, because they'll remember the time that I really got them. Whereas a completely new person on the field, you don't have those negative memories associated with them.
And that's like a great point with that, because we would play One Night Werewolf a lot all the time, or like Werewolf. Well, not one night, but one night was the easier one because it's just like little 5-minute games. And we'd play with like 7 people, and we'd play with like the same group all the time. And every time we played, everybody just assumed Will was the werewolf because there was no way he wasn't lying, because he would lie so much the first couple times we played that it's just immediately like, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying. And I think that could hurt people like Parvati. That might be able to hurt people like Boston Rob. I don't think it'll hurt Sandra because she doesn't really lie. She's always telling you the truth. She's never really like, oh, I'm like being all sneaky and stuff. I mean, she won't be able to pull maybe the same stuff she was able to pull on JT, which was hilarious. But, you know, I do think that that can definitely come in, and that's definitely what Alexa and I are going to break down. If you're a patron, that's for the $10 and $20 patrons, you will get to hear us break that down. And then we're going to have to do our Q&A this month and another retrospective. So this is just the January retrospective because Alexa had her work trip that made it so that we could not record last week, and we were pushing it off till the end because that's what we do. So we're about to do that. And then Alexa, what else do we have coming up?
We have merchandise for sale. Yeah, look at that shirt. Look at this mug. Look at that phone case. If you guys want to support us and not be a patron, or do both, it's on Spreadshirt. The link is in our profile. I'll pin it to the top of our Twitter. Definitely check that out. Tomorrow night, we're doing our prop bet game. We are not going to do a bootless game for the season. 1, because of Edge of Extinction, and 2, it is probably extremely spoiled. So if you want a chance to win a buff, participate in our prop bet game tomorrow night.
Are we doing buffs or prop bet?
Oh, yeah. So what do you think about that?
We did. No, I think we did determine we were going to do that because we're only doing one game.
Yeah. So
first 2 winners the prop bet.
Yeah. First 2 places wins a buff. If you also want to win a buff, then become a $20 patron and join our
Power rankings
game. You know, it's like a small pool of people. There are like 200 people who do the prop bet game and like 17 who do the fantasy. How am I saying? Power rankings game. So become a $20 patron. For those of you who are $10 and below, then or $10 and above, we're about to do our Survivor Web of Connections podcast. And we're also going to be back this Wednesday after that Survivor 20-year reunion episode. We're going to talk about that a little bit too.
So you're going to be hearing a lot from us. If you haven't checked out that Winter at Wars like whole playlist we did, go check it out because it was really fun. We did a lot of interesting interviews. Some people you would never expect to have great insight because just how they played Survivor had great insight. David Sampson was amazing. Albert was amazing. There's some really incredible interviews on there. We just had a really fun time doing it. And if you're looking for like more preseason content, you haven't checked those out yet, I do recommend checking them all out. There's because they just give you a different perspective on each of the players. And it's funny to see who's really high on their people. Like who would have thought Scott Pollard would be sitting here saying Michele was like the greatest, and who's really low on their people, like Pete Yurkowski with Denise. So that's just a little taste, but I think, go check those out if you haven't checked them out yet. They're a lot of fun. And, we'll probably have Vaughn on again at some point this season because we always seem to. He's always filling in for at least Alexa or I at some point. Robert always shows up, which I don't like anymore because now he's like a grown-up and he's not just intern. I hate that.
I'm a real man.
And I'll try to get my dad, David James into make an appearance again this season too.
That would be very kind of him.
Yes. If he can take time away from nothing personal, that would be great. Just to come and give us like a breakdown of what he thinks of Sarah and Tony, who he is very close with, and that we will definitely get into on this web thing. But Vaughn, thanks as always for joining. We always love having you. Always love the takes. Robert, thanks. Get back to doing whatever you do.
You got it.
And and get those abs working so that the next time you
Hot
get a hot
yoga with Nora.
Yeah.
Impressive stuff.
I loved
Thanks.
it. I loved it, man. I'm proud of you.
My
And
body's
Alexa,
tracking Nick Wilson's because we're the same. Wherever this goes, mine just like automatically goes in that direction, regardless of how much I'm exercising.
yeah, dude, I feel it. We're all approaching the big 3-0. Vaughn, I don't know if you actually are the big 3-0, but we're all approaching the big 3-0 very fastly. So
I have narrowly passed that threshold. Indeed, I'm the only guest.
I got a while still.
Yeah. Well,
Don't worry about it.
while intern's over there still being a baby, Vaughn's got gray hair, and none of this is real. He dyes his hair every morning.
Exactly.
But all right, so we will be back on Monday. See everybody then.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.